The night her children were sold, Eliza Carter made a decision no mother should ever have to make, not to escape, but to choose what kind of ending they would have. Winter, 1858. Louisiana Bayou. The cold didn't come like snow here. It crept in through the water, through the mud, through the bones. The plantation sat low against the swamp, wooden structures sinking inch by inch into black earth, surrounded by cypress trees that looked like they had been watching suffering for generations. Eliza had lived here her entire life, 26 years, long enough to stop remembering what freedom felt like, but not long enough to forget what it meant. She had 3 children. Josiah, 6 years old, quiet, always watching, like he already understood too much. Lila, 4, the only one who still laughed, the only one who still believed the world might be kind. And the baby, Ruth, barely 1 year old, still small enough to sleep against her chest, still untouched by what this place would turn her into. Every night, Eliza would hold them close, count their breaths, memorize the weight of them. Because here, children didn't belong to their mothers, they belonged to the ledger. And that ledger had changed. 3 days ago, the overseer came walking through the quarters, boots heavy, voice louder than necessary, reading names like they meant nothing. But Eliza heard it. She always did. Josiah Carter, Lila Carter. He didn't say Ruth's name. Not yet. But he didn't need to, because everyone knew what that list meant. Sold south. Not to another house, not to another field, but to the sugar plantations. People whispered about those places. Not loud, never loud, but enough. Enough for the truth to travel. In the sugar fields, men didn't last 5 years. Children didn't grow up. And women didn't survive in ways that could be seen. Eliza had never been there, but she had seen the ones who came back, or what was left of them. Bodies bent wrong, eyes empty, voices gone. So when she heard her children's names, she didn't cry, she didn't scream, she didn't beg. She just stood there, very still, as something inside her finally stopped hoping. That night, while the others whispered about escape, about running through the swamp, about following the river north, Eliza sat alone in her cabin, the door closed, the fire low, her children sleeping beside her. She watched them, one by one, like she was trying to remember every detail before it disappeared. Because for the first time in her life, Eliza Carter understood something with perfect clarity. There was no road out of this, only a choice about how it would end. Morning came, but it didn't feel like morning. It felt like something waiting. The quarters were quieter than usual. No laughter, no voices rising over each other. Just movement, slow, careful, like everyone was trying not to be noticed. Because once your name was called, you didn't belong here anymore. Eliza moved through her work like always. Water first, then the fire, then whatever the house demanded. Her hands didn't shake, her face didn't change, but inside, everything had already shifted. She could feel the eyes on her. Other mothers, other women. They didn't say anything. They didn't have to. They had all heard the list. They all knew what came next. By midday, the rumors stopped being whispers. The wagon had arrived, not the small one used for supplies, not the one for tools. The long one, iron-bound, empty, waiting. Children started staying closer to their mothers. Hands tighter, voices quieter. Even the overseer spoke less. Because everyone understood. This wasn't just work. This was removal. Eliza. The voice came from behind her, flat, no anger, no emotion. She turned slowly. The overseer stood there, ledger in one hand, gun resting easy on his shoulder. They leave tomorrow. That was all he said. No explanation. No negotiation. Tomorrow. 24 hours. To hold them, to feed them, to pretend. Or to decide. Eliza nodded once. Nothing more. Because there was nothing else to say. The rest of the day passed like a shadow. She worked. She answered when spoken to. She kept her head down. But every sound felt sharper. Every moment, shorter. Josiah was playing with a stick, drawing lines in the dirt. Lila chasing something only she could see, still laughing, still free in the only way children could be here. Ruth slept. Eliza watched them from a distance. Not calling them, not stopping them, just watching. Because she knew. This was the last day they would ever have like this. That night, no one in the quarter spoke about escape anymore. They had done the math. The swamp would swallow them. The dogs would find them. The river would take them. There was no path that didn't end the same way. Except one. Eliza sat inside her cabin again. Door closed. Fire almost gone. Her children close. Closer than usual. Josiah leaned against her side. Lila curled into her lap. Ruth breathing softly against her chest. She wrapped her arms around them. Tighter. Not like she was holding them.
Like she was keeping the world out. Because tomorrow, men would come through that door. And take them. Unless she chose something else first.
The night felt heavier than the others. Not darker, not colder, just final. Inside the cabin, the fire was nearly out. Only a faint glow remained, casting shadows that moved like something alive on the walls. Eliza hadn't slept. She couldn't. Josiah lay beside her, one arm stretched out, like he reached for something even in his dreams. Lila curled into her side, small fingers gripping her dress, as if she already knew, something was trying to take her away. Ruth, pressed against her chest, breathing slow, steady, safe, for now. Eliza closed her eyes, just for a moment, and for the first time, she allowed herself to imagine it. Tomorrow, men entering, voices raised, hands pulling. Josiah crying, but trying not to, Lila screaming, because she wouldn't understand. Ruth, taken before she could even remember her mother's face. Eliza opened her eyes, sharp, no, not that, anything, but that. She sat up slowly, careful not to wake them. Her movements were quiet, deliberate, as if she had already made the decision, and her body was just following it. In the corner of the cabin, there was a small table, nothing special. Just rough wood, worn edges, things placed there without thought. But tonight, she looked at it differently. Her hand hovered for a moment, not touching, not yet. Because this was the line. Once crossed, there would be no undoing it. She turned back, looked at them again, all three, really looked, memorizing every detail. The way Josiah's brow furrowed even in sleep, the way Lila's lips moved like she was whispering to herself, the warmth of Ruth's small body against hers. "I'm sorry," she whispered, so quietly, it barely existed. Not for what she had done, but for what she was about to choose. Because in a world where she owned nothing, not even her own children, this was the only choice left, that still belonged to her. The door creaked slightly in the wind, a reminder. Morning was coming, and with it, them. Eliza stood still for a long moment, then finally, she moved, not fast, not frantic, certain, like someone who had already accepted what this would cost. Outside, the swamp remained silent. As if even the world itself refused to witness what a mother was forced to become, when love and slavery met at the same door.
Morning didn't arrive gently. It came like a knock. Slow at first, then closer, heavier. The wagon was back. Not empty anymore. Waiting. Voices outside. Men gathering. No shouting. No urgency. Just routine. Like this was just another day. They stopped at her door. Once. Then again. Harder. Eliza. No answer. One of the men tried the handle. Locked. That ain't right. Another knock. Louder. Impatient now. Eliza. Open this door. Still nothing. Something in the silence. Felt wrong. Not quiet. Too quiet. The overseer stepped forward. Break it. The door gave way. But no one rushed in. They stopped. Right at the threshold. No movement inside. No voices. No crying. Just stillness. One man lifted the lantern. Light spilling into the cabin. Slowly. Revealing. Just enough. He froze. Didn't step forward. Didn't speak. Another man moved beside him. Looked in. Then stepped back. Quick. Like he had seen something he wasn't meant to. Jesus. The word came out under his breath. Not loud. But heavy. The overseer pushed past them. Annoyed. Then he saw it. And for the first time, since anyone could remember, he didn't say a word. No orders. No shouting. No anger. Just stillness. Like the room itself had taken something from him. Behind him, the other men refused to enter. They stood outside. Eyes fixed forward, but not seeing. Because whatever was inside that cabin, it wasn't something you walked into. It was something you carried with you, once you saw it. Minutes passed. No one moved. Until finally, the overseer stepped back. Slow. Different. Like something in him had shifted. He looked at the men. Then at the wagon. Then back at the cabin. And made a decision no one expected. Leave it. Confusion. But sir. I said leave it. His voice wasn't loud. But no one argued. The men backed away, one by one. No one looking inside again. No one speaking. The wagon remained empty. And for the first time, it left that place, with nothing inside it. The door stayed open, the cabin exposed to the morning light. But no one ever stepped inside again.
By noon, the story had already begun to spread. Not loudly, not in words meant to be repeated, but in the way people looked at each other, and then looked away. No one described what they saw. They didn't need to, because whatever waited inside that cabin had already said enough. The overseer never spoke of it again. The men who were there drank more than usual that night, and the wagon never came back for Eliza's children. Not ever. The door of the cabin stayed open for days, then weeks, until the swamp began to reclaim it, like it did everything else. With softening, walls sinking, memory dissolving into mud and silence. But the story didn't disappear. It changed. Some said she had gone mad. Some said she had done something unforgivable. But the ones who understood never said either. Because they knew this wasn't madness. And it wasn't cruelty. It was a choice, made in a world where no choices were ever meant to exist. Years passed. The war came. The system that built that plantation collapsed under its own weight. And the land was left behind. Nothing remained of the Carter plantation, except stories. And one cabin, no one ever rebuilt. Even long after freedom came, people avoided that spot. Not because they feared ghosts, but because they understood what had happened there. Some truths don't haunt you because they're supernatural. They haunt you because they're human. Somewhere, far from that swamp, people would later speak of Eliza Carter, in quiet voices, as something between a warning and a memory. Not of what she did, but of what she was forced to become. Because in the end, this was never just a story about slavery. It was a story about a mother who was given two endings, and chose the one the world could never take from her. And that is why no one who stood at that door ever forgot.